Okay, so which pizza do lizards prefer? I know, it sounds completely absurd, but a team of scientists actually looked into this. And believe me, what they found might just make you look at your own late-night pizza cravings a little differently.
So yeah, that's the big question. Which pizza do lizards prefer? It sounds like the setup to a terrible joke, but it actually won an Ig Nobel Prize. And honestly, why should we even care? Well, it turns out there's a really good reason.
I get it. The whole idea of lizards and pizza sounds ridiculous. You're probably picturing something out of a cartoon, not a serious scientific paper. But hang with me here, because there is way more going on than you'd think.
Right. This is not a joke. Because tucked away inside this bizarre question is a really fascinating exploration of choice, of instinct, and maybe even the ancient wiring that drives our own desires.
See, the researchers weren't really obsessed with pizza toppings. They were digging into something much deeper. They wanted to know, are reptiles just simple eating machines running on pure instinct, or can they actually develop a taste for something totally unnatural just because, it's delicious?
So to figure that out, they needed the perfect scientific instrument. And that instrument, believe it or not, was a pepperoni pizza.
In the lab, they call this a comparative stimulus. It's just a fancy term for giving your test subjects a choice between different things. The key, though, is that you have to control every little detail so you can be sure what's actually making them choose one thing over another. And this is why pizza was genius. You can control everything. Put meat on one slice, veggies on another. Boom, you've just changed the fat and protein content while the shape stays the same. It's got a distinct smell, texture, and it's basically the poster child for human junk food, something a lizard would absolutely never find in nature. All right, so the stage is set. The pizzas are ready. But what actually happened when they offered it to the lizards? Well, let's just say the results were surprising. So the conventional wisdom, right, is that lizards just eat bugs and whatever else they need to survive. Simple. But this experiment completely flipped that idea on its head. The lizards didn't just stumble upon the pizza. No, they actively chose it over and over, even when a perfectly good meal of insects was sitting right there.
And they were picky. They showed a clear, undeniable preference for the pizza that was high in fat and protein, the meat and cheese slices. The veggie option, not a big hit. And their normal food, the insects, they pretty much ignored it if there was a slice of pepperoni available. This wasn't just some random act of hunger either. As the experiment went on, their preference for the fatty pizza got even stronger. They were actually learning what they liked and going back for more. This wasn't just about filling their stomachs, it was about forming a genuine preference. And this is where things get really wild, because a finding like this pushes us to think way beyond our simple ideas about animal instinct. You see, for decades, the scientific playbook said that animals choose food for two basic reasons: what their body needs nutritionally and what evolution has hardwired them to eat. It's all about survival. But this study, with these little pizza-eating lizards, it throws a wrench in that. It suggests there's another really powerful driver at work here, and that's pleasure. What this all points to is a reward system in the brain. That's the network of circuits that makes you feel good and motivates you to do that thing again. We've always known mammals have it, but seeing this kind of behavior in a reptile suggests that the basic drive to get pleasure from food, not just fuel, is incredibly ancient. And this is the moment where a funny little study about lizards stops being about lizards and starts being about us. It becomes about the ancient blueprints of our own brains. Let's just walk through the logic. Step 1, a lizard goes for the fatty pizza. Step 2, this tells us there's a primitive reward system at play that's all about pleasure. Step 3, since lizards have been around for a very, very long time, that system must be ancient. And here's the kicker, step 4, it is the exact same fundamental system that, in a much more complicated way, drives your craving for junk food. So next time you're finding it really hard to say no to that bag of chips, remember this. It's not just a simple failure of willpower. You are wrestling with a deep, powerful, evolutionary drive for high-energy, tasty food. A drive that apparently we share with lizards. Which leaves us with one last kind of unsettling question to think about. When you choose what you like to eat, how much of that is really you making a conscious choice? And how much of it is just your ancient inner lizard calling the shots?